Listen now, we the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. It is time for week 4 of the NFL predictions. It's been a tumultuous week, a little bit more of the expected results last week, but I'm still not sure. I saw a couple of upsets, couple of games I was a bit confused about that left me scratching my head. I'm curious to hear what our records are, Smokey. So how are we doing and how it's looking for us?
You know, actually, if it wasn't for a few of these comebacks at the end of the game, we would have done even better, but it wasn't bad. I mean, technically with the tie, we got 10.5 right. So, you know.
We're counting that as a half a point? Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Oh, yeah. You got to take the half, man.
We all picked the exact same games, of course, last week. So 10.5 is, I guess, fine out of 16. Mm-hmm. What's happening with Atlanta, real quick? I'm going to have to ask, because you were already talking about comebacks. What's going on?
Oh, man. Comebacks. Jesus Christ. I wish I wouldn't have brought that up. I don't know. It's got to be Quinn, right?
I guess. I don't know.
Well, for one, I've never seen a team like this just run out of gas every single game in the fourth quarter. And sometimes, you have seen trends like this for one season. But I've never seen it happen year after year after year. Now, it didn't start with the Super Bowl. It actually started earlier in that season. We actually started allowing comebacks early in the season.
Right.
And we just happened to, get out to big enough leads that season to stay ahead of most teams until the Super Bowl. But ever since then, we've been doing this. The team just, I don't know if it's conditioning. Maybe we need a new strength and conditioning coach. See, and plus though, we've got new personnel. These are not the same coordinators. These are not the same coaches that we went to the Super Bowl with. There's only one guy that remains the same, other than, the offensive players and a few names on the defense. There's only one guy that remains the same, and that's Dan Quinn. So you can only point the finger at Dan Quinn and say it has to be your fault. At this point, it's not a coincidence. It's not an anomaly. No, this is a fact at this point. It's not even a trend because it's been going on for way too long. This is the normal for him. So it has to be Dan Quinn. And I think he has to be fired for this to stop.
Seems like it. And we might get there sooner rather than later because this week is going to be a tough one. We'll get there, of course, at the end of the predictions. But it's going to be tough. We got Aaron Rodgers, who is flying high right now, just beat the Saints. And you might be looking at 0-4, and then heads might roll. And speaking of heads potentially rolling, we'll get into that with the first game right away on Thursday night. Let me just quickly say, we're doing betting advice at the end of the show after the predictions. I got a small betting segment this week. I'm not going overboard because a lot of the odds that I've seen seem quite reasonable, so I'm not putting too much, but we'll get there. Speaking of Thursday night, though, this might be one of the worst games of the season. We have Denver at the Jets. What do you think?
You can't flex games anymore, man. We could have moved this around and actually got a good game because
apparently not.
There's quite a few good games going on this week. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. Jets and Broncos. Here's the thing. You actually came to me with some news that I hadn't heard yet, that the Jets actually plan to fire Adam Gase if he loses one more. That's what you're saying?
Correct. That is speculation, insider speculation that I've seen, yes.
Okay, because at first I looked at this on the surface and said, oh, well, the Broncos are a better team, even though they don't look like it right now. They are a better team than the Jets. And then I looked at how many injuries exactly the Broncos have, and then, taking into account that they're going on their third quarterback, and it's going to be a guy that literally no one has ever heard of unless you're a fan of his college, wherever that was. So I said the Jets are going to win. They got to. They're at home. They're going to get their first win of the season. But then you brought that news in, so now I'm just really at an impasse here. I think I'm still going to go with the Jets because maybe the team actually likes Adam Gase and they'll rally round. I don't know why, but I don't know. I want to see him fired, but I guess I'm going to go with the Jets here because it doesn't make any sense at all.
It's such a tough pick here. It's really you're kind of choosing your own downfall. It feels like with this, and we're not even fans of these teams, but still, it sucks. You even have to pick a winner. Honestly, Broncos are injured to hell. Like one of the worst teams in terms of injuries we've seen all year, and the Jets. I don't think there's life left in this roster at all, and there's no trust in Adam Gase left in this roster at all. I have no idea who's going to win this game. I'm going to pick Denver. I'm going to say they're just going to outclass them by just a little bit. They're going to run the ball effectively. It's probably going to be a close one. It's going to be a low-scoring one. I want to say that on the other side, it is possible that Sam Darnold might just win this game by himself because he's the only professional level football player on the field, what it feels like at this point in this entire matchup. So there is a chance the Jets win, and if so, then it's just because Darnold is going to do it by himself. But both of these teams not looking good. I had high hopes for the Broncos. Everyone got hurt with Drew Lock out, Von Miller. Bad times ahead. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Adam Gase without a job next time we come on this show, especially if the Jets lose. And then we're going to be turning the page, looking at what's next. But at this point, bleak, both teams. I'm going to go Denver, and I'm going to say that the Gase era is going to be over next week in New York. Going into Sunday night, we have the Ravens at the Washington you-know-what.
The Ravens didn't look hot last night, man. They didn't look great. And this team, you kind of have to, like, the way they're built, the way their offense and defense is built, you really have to get out to a lead and then just run the ball, and eat up clock. That's how the Ravens win games. When they get behind like that, like the Chiefs did, and put scores early in the game, when they get behind 2-3, this Lamar just can't really, make these long throws time after time after time. They just don't move the ball like that. That's not their game plan. So Chiefs had the perfect way to beat them. And the Washington footballs probably don't have the game plan to beat them. Even though we're in Washington for this one, I'm going to go with the Ravens. Should be easy.
Yeah, listen, Ravens didn't look good on Monday night. I get it was prime time, and they still seem to have the jitters sometimes in the big games. And that we've seen that in the playoffs and back-to-back years now with Lamar Jackson. And it seems like everything is coming together. This team should be ready to go to the big game. So far, hasn't really been the case. And it's going to be interesting to see if they'll overcome that come playoff time. Because I have no doubt they'll make the playoffs and still win double-digit games. Including this one at Washington. It's going to be an easy win. Listen, we maybe overestimated the footballs a little bit after week one. I don't think this team is particularly good at all. Dwayne Haskins, I still don't believe Dwayne Haskins really has the NFL starting qualities at this point, and the team around him is a bit lackluster to me still. I don't think they're going to make any big waves in the division. I have Baltimore winning the game comfortably. Should be a good rebound experience for the Ravens going into the tougher games, because they have Pittsburgh coming up twice in their division, which is going to be tough games, and even Cincinnati, the Browns aren't going to be cakewalks, so they should take this. Should be an easy win, and Lamar Jackson can regain that confidence. Going into the next one, we have Pittsburgh, like I mentioned, at Tennessee. Might be a bit more high class here.
Yeah, this actually should be a really good one. Both teams are 3-0 at this point. And this is a really tough game to pick. This should have been the Thursday night game, to tell you the truth. But I guess the Titans have a COVID scare right now, so I guess they're not really going to flex them into an earlier time spot if they can help it. They may actually, from what I was reading, either this one or the Texans Vikings, one of the two, they're looking to push back to Monday until more tests are done. But just on the surface right now, Ben Roethlisberger looks like the old Ben Roethlisberger. He's looking pretty good. Ryan Tannehill is legit. And we know, how good Derrick Henry is. And we know how good Coach Tomlinson is overall. This guy, I don't know why he doesn't get mentioned as one of the best coaches in the league, but he should, because he's right up there, man. I put him up there with Andy Reid and Belichick any day. But and Pete Carroll, boo. But yeah, I think in this one, I'm going to take the Steelers on the road here. But I could see this really going either way. I think by the end of this game, we will have more of an idea which one of these teams are more likely to go deep into the playoffs this year.
This could be a very good game. I totally agree with you there. The Pittsburgh defense is looking absolutely ferocious, and they haven't had a lot of injuries go their way too. So they're still looking decently healthy. Tennessee, very good offense, good defense. Very solid game. This could be an AFC playoff game coming down the line later on. And it's going to be a very tough one. I'm thinking Pittsburgh inches it out in this one. I think they'll keep Derrick Henry. They're not going to stop him, but they'll keep him to maybe around 80 yards. And they're going to put hell on Ryan Tannehill with their pass rush. It's going to be a close one. Maybe just a field goal game. But I think Pittsburgh has the class here to take it. So I'm going to go with the Steelers. Mm-hmm. But it'll be a close game for sure. How about the Chargers at Bucks?
Man, Chargers looked better this past week. The Bucks right now are the best team in the NFC South. No one expected that, but I guess some people did. With Tom Brady being there, yes, some people did expect it. No fan of other teams in the NFC South expected the Bucks to be number one in the division right now, and they are. I mean, they seem to be legitimate. And Tom Brady still, maybe he's not where he was back in the Randy Moss days, but he's still, in a borderline elite quarterback. Just from game management standpoint, he can still handle the offense. Like he does, and read defenses just as good as he always has, even if he doesn't quite have the arm that he used to. Chargers, I think, Herbert's really not ready to go up against a team like the Bucks. This run defense is amazing. They're gonna stop them over and over again. I don't see too much happening on the ground here, and I don't know that Herbert's ready to beat them through the air yet. So definitely going with the Bucks at home.
Justin Herbert, throughout 2 games as a starter on third down, has the best passer rating in the league. He's been looking really, really good. Now, last week was a tough one. It was a close one, and it was a game that they should not have lost against Carolina by any means. I expected them to step up and win a lot of individual errors. And the main reason that the Buccaneers are currently the best team in the NFC South is because everyone else is underperforming mightily. The Saints, Falcons. And okay, we didn't expect the Panthers to necessarily be great, but the Saints and Falcons definitely underperforming. Here's my upset of the week. I'll take the Chargers. I believe in Justin Herbert. I've analyzed his play. I know he can do it. I don't know if he will, and it might be likely that he won't, and this team won't because the team overall isn't really much better than the Buccaneers, especially with the ferocious offense. But I believe they have good matchups. I think Justin Herbert can have a good game. I think he can if he can play the way he played against Kansas City and also the way he played against Carolina, because he played well against Carolina. Yeah. He was their best player on offense. Was Justin Herbert in 2 back-to-back games. And that pass rush is still real for the Chargers. The defense is still good. They can put pressure on Tom Brady, make him throw it fast. It'll be a matter of the defensive secondary for the Chargers holding it up against the likes of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, not as big of a receiving threat, and stopping that run game, because Tampa Bay has a ferocious run game. It'll take a good day for the Chargers defense. I'll say that right now, but I think they have the potential to do it, and I'm going to go with them because I trust Justin Herbert that much. Mm-hmm. So there's my upset pick. We'll see what happens. Seahawks at Dolphins.
Man, Fitzpatrick had a Fitzpatrick game, a Fitzmagic game, if you will. Yeah, they looked good, man. I didn't expect it. I really didn't. I thought the Jags were just gonna roll over them. But that's what you get out of Ryan Fitzpatrick. Either he wins the game in spectacular fashion or he loses the game in spectacular fashion. Now, one thing about the Seahawks is Russell Wilson is back to MVP running form. He's never won the MVP. He's never even been nominated for the MVP, which is really weird.
Never had a single vote.
Yeah. But Yeah, that's crazy to think about, right? When he's winning Super Bowls back in the day. And, yeah, but anyway, Seahawks offense is way too powerful right now, and the defense is much better than anyone expected to be this year. I can't see the Dolphins winning this one, even at home, but if it did happen, I wouldn't be surprised because it's Fitzpatrick. But right now, I mean, I'm going to have to go with the heavy favorites and go with the Seahawks on the road.
See, this looks like a Fitzmagic game again, but if you've seen him over the past few years, you know he can't do it every week, right? Mm-hmm. He has to regenerate his magic for a couple of weeks until he can cast another spell. Mm-hmm. So last week was already the Fitzmagic game where he went off against Jacksonville, carried him to a win. I'll think it'll be more of a cool down thing this week. If he can do it again, I'll be very impressed. I don't think he can. The Seattle offense is really strong in the air, specifically this year, which is something that the Dolphins will have a little bit of struggle, and a little bit of a mismatch trying to defend all day. So Seahawks are going to win it, but I wouldn't mind seeing another close one or another show by Ryan Fitzpatrick, because he could put up 35, 40 any given week.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing it. Vikings at Texans.
Yep, and this one, as I said earlier, may get moved. Both of these teams extremely underperforming, although the Vikings played well on offense this past game. And Justin Jefferson is actually coming through like I predicted, that, Thielen's actually going to fall off a cliff this season, and Justin Jefferson could be the number one target there. And as of that game, it looked like it. So we'll see how that goes. Texans are kind of a dumpster fire right now. You got to put Bill O'Brien in the same category with Dan Quinn. Completely underperforming defensive coaches that have no defense for some reason. That Texans O-line is once again horrible. And I don't know, man. This is tough because both of these teams are circling the toilet bowl right now. I'm going to go with the Texans because they're at home, like I usually do. Tie goes to the home team. So I'm going to go with the Texans here.
This is a tough one to pick. Also a sadness bowl for sure. Who's Deshaun Watson even playing with at this point on offense? It looked good during stretches against the Chiefs in the opener there.
Yeah.
And after that, it just feels like they lost games in very unspectacular fashions and are suddenly one of the worst teams in the league. Again, coaching situation like you brought up, Bill O'Brien is not a guy that should be holding down that job much longer the way that it's looking at the moment. Minnesota is, in my opinion, underperforming even more than the Texans are, because Minnesota should be better. They should be the better team. They have the better players. They have the better coaching. Mike Zimmer, listen, Mike Zimmer to me is a top 10 head coach in the NFL. He's really good. I believe in his defensive schemes. I believe quite strongly in the way that he played Drew Brees twice now in the playoffs, and I know that he can do it. It's just a matter of getting over the hump. This is, to me, very comparable to the Falcons situation. These are teams that should be competing for double-digit wins for playoff spots in a tough NFC, and they're throwing it away at the moment. I'll give them one more shot. I'll take the Vikings to win it at Houston. If not, we have a problem. It's not Houston we have a problem, it's Minnesota we have a problem. But both of these teams are going to be having problems. If play continues like that, I have the Vikings this week. How about the Saints at the Lions?
Oh, man. One team's trending up, one team's trending down right now. The Lions actually pulled out the win over the Cards, man. You know what? Like last season, if I remember right, it was about the third or fourth week in the season, and we had the same conversation about the Lions playing the Cardinals, I think it was. Or it was the week after. And I told you, like, I just have this feeling that the Lions are going to win. I can't explain it. I just have a feeling. And then they went out and won that week. But this one's tougher. This is much tougher. They're not playing the Cards of last season or the Cards of this season. A team that is and really should be much better than the Cardinals at this point in time, which they may be trending down and the Cardinals may be trending up. That's yet to be seen. But man, this is another tough one, because if the Lions play at their utmost capability, then they should go and beat a Saints that are just down on their luck. But I don't know if Michael Thomas is going to be back for this week yet. If he is, I definitely have the Saints to win this game. But if he's not, I want to go with the Lions. But I guess for this purpose, we really don't know right now. I'm going to go with the Saints.
I'm gonna tell you this. This is a lot spicier than you would think just looking at this matchup. Mm-hmm. These are 1-2 teams, and honestly, they're both playing like it right now. This could go either way, and I mean that. I believe Matthew Stafford right now is the better quarterback as they're playing. Mm-hmm. Defenses are both a bit hit or miss. I've seen the Lions do big things against Arizona, and that's a tough team to stop. And they can throw it deep. Both these teams have big play potential. Saints on the ground, more so Lions through the air. This, to me, is a coin flip. This is a really tough game to pick. And honestly, I don't really quite know what way to go with this. I know that I will pick the Saints because I think they have the more consistent game plan, trying to run the ball. They have Alvin Kamara, who's just... He's phenomenal. I mean, he's amazing. And if Michael Thomas comes back, how about Jeff Okudah, though? First game as a starter, week 2, he plays Devontae Adams. Second game, DeAndre Hopkins. Third game, maybe Michael Thomas. I mean, what a start for a rookie cornerback. And he's holding his own so far decently well. So I would love to see that matchup for sure. But I'll have New Orleans. It's going to be a close one. Don't be surprised. Don't anyone be surprised if Detroit ends up winning this game. I would not be surprised. I'm going to say... Because of Alvin Kamara, New Orleans is going to win it. They're a bit more consistent to me. Browns at Cowboys.
Man, Browns at Cowboys. I guess the Cowboys are probably that 8-8 team that we expect them to be. The Browns are also probably an 8-8 team right now, the way they look. Yeah. After the first game of the season, it looked like they were going to do nothing this season, but... I would give them 8-8 at this point. You know, Baker Mayfield still can't seem to get his passing game in order. But he does hit Odell Beckham every now and then for a pretty good toss there. But their run game is amazing. Like, any team would wish they had 2 running backs back-to-back like that team. That's just a great lineup there. Cowboys, you know what they are. They're... run-first team that can pass if they need to. This is actually tough, man, because neither one of them have a great defense to speak of at the moment. I could see this actually being a close game, and I wouldn't really call it a shootout because I think the Browns are going to run more than they toss the ball, but I think I'm going to go with the Cowboys at home here.
It almost feels like comparatively to how much the rest of the NFL has gotten injured, the Cowboys are a relatively healthy team, even though there's a couple big names out. Leighton, Vander, Esch, and Blake Jarwin, obviously. Mm-hmm. So it's a tough game to pick, like a lot of them this week so far. It's going to be a lot of ground and pound. I think there's going to be a quick game, maybe low scoring, because both of those teams are going to try to run the football. Cowboys have a pretty good defensive front, though. I like their defensive line, and they can bring the pressure. Alden Smith appears to be right back to his form from 2013, unbelievably. But he's still putting in work, and he's still wearing his goofy 80s helmet, by the way, which is also amazing. Looks a lot like Lawrence Taylor, actually. It's in those colors too. With that helmet, it's great. But he's putting in work for the Cowboys at the moment, and I'm gonna say the Cowboys win this. Baker Mayfield historically has had trouble when pressure gets in his face consistently. I think that's the one thing that the Cowboys can really do to disrupt the Cleveland game plan. They have to stop the run, like you mentioned. That tandem is ferocious, as is Ezekiel Elliott. We're gonna see a lot of running. I think Dallas takes it. They are at home. It's gonna be a close one, but I think they'll prevail there. How about Jacksonville at Cincinnati?
Jackson. Oh, I want to point out that was the first home team you've picked so far.
Really?
Let's see.
Wow.
Yep. Jags at Bengals. This actually should be a really good game because I predict that the Bengals are, well, I guess it's not a prediction. It's obvious when you look at them. They're a bad team that's improving every game. And the Jags are a team that everybody thought was tanking, but they're actually playing their hearts out trying to win. It just doesn't always work out for them. Minshew versus Joe Burrow. Man, those guys are completely opposite. If you think about it.
Absolutely.
You know, you got the first overall pick versus a 6th round pick. The guy who, you know, is the nose down, just work hard and don't show off against the, can you say flamboyant guy? I mean, I don't even know what you would call his personality there. But either way, these guys are both learning to pass the ball downfield more and more as time progresses. They do both have decent receivers. You know, AJ Green is maybe not showing it right now, but he has been an elite pass catcher in the league for many years. Makes it kind of tough, though, because I think, you know, maybe the Bengals are going to surpass this team by the end of the season, but right now they're almost on an even plane to me. And with them being on an even plane, I'm going to take the Bengals because they're at home.
You're taking a lot of the home teams just because they're at home, I'm noticing.
Well, you know, that's what I do whenever I can't decide. I pick the home team.
Well, being at home isn't as big of an advantage whenever you only have 8,000 fans as opposed to 50,000 fans. So
that's true.
I've noticed that a little bit. Aaron Rodgers had a field day with his hard counts at New Orleans last week, and no problem with that at all with the crowd noise. I like how you mentioned, though, the quarterback comparison. You're actually right there. I think they also quite perfectly resemble the teams they're playing for, really. You got you got Florida quarterback versus the industrial Ohio City quarterback, just puts his head down and goes to work. It's a good point. And this is, by the way, it's going to be a fun game. I'm looking forward to watching this. Listen, I have the Jaguars. Every week I feel like I come in and I preach how good Joe Burrow is and that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be good with him. But here's the thing. Joe Burrow is visibly the best player on the Cincinnati offense right now. There's good rookies. Listen, rookies oftentimes are good. Whenever your rookie quarterback is visibly your best player on offense, your offense isn't very good just yet. He's going to make them good, and he's going to make them good fast, but this team isn't ready to really, really win. They will be if they build around him properly. I've said that before, and last time I said this, it went south because that was the Jets with Sam Darnold. I made a video saying that three years from now, he could be in the Super Bowl with the Jets if they build around him. We know where that went. But once again, we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt and trust Cincinnati to build a team around him. For this season, it's going to be a rough one. It's going to be a lot of learning experiences. They have work to do. But Jacksonville, I think they'll win it. Gardner Minshew has an extra year under his belt. And that team seems to work quite well. They had troubles with Miami, no doubt. But gotta say they go into Cincinnati and they take the win, and they stay somewhat competitive and not in the conversation for the number 1 overall pick, which is really what we assumed at the beginning of the season. So that's a success for Jacksonville. Colts at Bears, undefeated Chicago Bears.
Yeah. On a side note, how long do you think they actually replace Gardner Minshew at the end of the season? You think
he's your best player? He's your best player. What are you going to do replacing him? No.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, it seemed like that was what they wanted going into the season.
They better not. That's like the Packers replacing Aaron Rodgers. Well, not quite like that, but it's bad.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a 6th round pick versus, you know, Aaron Rodgers, but
true.
Colts and Bears, man. The Bears are 3-0, and who would have expected that, right?
Not you, and not me either.
Not at all. The Colts are, you know, I would have expected them to be either 3-0 or 2-1 at this point. So they're on track decently. You know, the offense is looking better and better as Phillip Rivers fills out, you know, his weapons out there. And once again, that tight end Mo Alley Cox that I told you about had another touchdown this week. You know, I think they should feed him more, man. 3 receptions is not enough for him because he's playing really well with what he's getting. The Bears, I think the fans got mad at us for picking the Falcons against the Bears last week. But the fact is, the Bears did not come out and win that game. They were handed that game. The Falcons gave up and gave them that game. They did not
at the end of the day
win.
At the end of the day, they were right, you know, for calling us out. I mean, the numbers tell the story.
Yeah, if you look at the box score, but if you look at the game itself, you know, Trubisky took a dump out there, and Nick Foles saved it. Isn't that weird about Nick Foles? How you can't let him start the season, or he will blow it all. But if you bring him in at some point in the season, he will win everything for you. Like maybe it's the pressure off, you know, thing. Like
maybe
if the pressure's not on him, you know, maybe. I don't know, but I'm going to take the Colts on the road. I think they keep winning here.
It's tough to pick against a team that's 3-0, right? And this might be the worst 3-0 team in history. I remember we talked about we talked in a similar fashion last year whenever the Bills were undefeated after I think 2 or 3 weeks, and everyone was kind of making fun of that. I don't know what to think about Chicago here. So Nick Foles is going to be starting for the Bears, and I get the feeling that this won't be the first quarterback change this year. And typically, changing out the quarterbacks puts a little bit of insecurity on the team, and it throws stuff awry. I don't know how much I like it. Now, of course, Mitch Trubisky has been, you know, objectively not playing very well. But here, I've seen this argument actually today on Reddit, funnily enough. People always make fun of how the Bears picked Trubisky when they could have had Mahomes or Watson at the same spot. Mitch Trubisky has this year as many wins as Mahomes and Watson combined.
That's true.
So there you go. You could argue the pick was pretty good. But Nick Foles is going to be starting for Chicago. I don't want to draw the hate of picking against the Bears again and them winning again, but I'll do it one more week. I'm going to do it one more week. Listen, I picked the Falcons. It was probably the right pick going into it, but they managed to blow the game, even though they should have been the better team. They were the better team for most of it. The Colts are also the better team. Colts are going to win the game at Chicago. If the Bears win this game and it's somewhat convincing, I might start picking the Bears. And I won't pick them at Green Bay or against Green Bay in general, but I might start picking them. I'm not going to do it this week, but prove me wrong. I don't hate the Bears. I never hated the Bears. I'm cool with the Bears, but the Colts should be the better team. Cardinals at Panthers.
I just want to say, I don't hate the Bears either. I was down on Matt Nagy. But, you know, if he keeps it up, you know, maybe I'll be in on him. But we'll see what Nick Foles does for him. The Cardinals and the Panthers. This is another tough one for me to pick because the Cardinals didn't look good last week. Even though I was high on them. And I was low on the Panthers, and they did look good last week. They played really well for the weapons that they have. Now, there's still no Christian McCaffrey in this one. So that does make it tough. But they do have the offensive genius of Joe Brady over there. So maybe they're going to end up getting better as the season progresses and then be real contenders into next season. I don't know if they're going to do it with Teddy Bridgewater, though. Maybe they need a more high-powered quarterback in the end to be real contenders for a Super Bowl. But that makes it tough. I think... being at home here, I'm gonna take the Panthers to keep their momentum in this one.
You mentioned it's a tough game to pick here, and Kyler Murray and the entire Cardinals team, frankly, did not look good at all. Now, Detroit is a better team than people give them credit for. I mentioned that before, and their defense could turn into something special. Is it going to be under Matt Patricia? I have my doubts, but the pieces are there. And Matthew Stafford, he's been there for 10 years, or even longer than that. He's been the building block forever, for over a decade, to build around him. They've never managed to do it. Maybe they have one more shot, but they're a better team than people think. Kyler Murray looked absolutely horrible. It happens. You know, young quarterbacks have bad games. That it's not going to mean that he's going to be terrible. This Cardinals offense is still going to be good. They still have DeAndre Hopkins, Fitzgerald, one of the most ferocious, fast receiving cores in the league. And Kyler Murray himself is going to make plays in the run game. I have him beat the Carolina Panthers. I think they're more versatile on offense, and they're going to present this Carolina defense with no real standout coverage guys, with too many mismatches, because you can't double DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald and have a spy on Kyler and expect to bring pressure with 4 or 5 people. So Cardinals are going to win it. They're going to have an offensive fiesta. They're going to be coming back, and it's going to be It's going to be a good recovery game. Panthers look good. I'm not going to lie. They beat the Chargers. Look pretty good. But to me, the quality isn't quite there. And I have the Cardinals beating them. Wouldn't be opposed to Carolina winning again, but I have my doubts there. So I'll take Arizona. How about the Giants at the Rams?
Giants at the Rams. Well, there's no doubt about this. The Giants suck right now. They're horrible, man. They couldn't beat the backup quarterback. They couldn't beat the entire team of third stringers that the 49ers threw at them. And they got blew out at that. The Rams, they look decent right now. Jared Goff, I did predict at the beginning of the season that he would bounce back. I don't know that he's going to be back to his Super Bowl form, which that was mostly the team around him rather than his play himself. He's not a type of guy that's just going to will you to a win and an entire season, in a Super Bowl. But with the right guys around him, he looks okay at times. And McVay is a great coach. We seem to have forgotten that with the horrible season they had last year. But McVay is still, one of the great offensive minds in this league. The Giants are just going to continue to lose right here because there's no way they're going out to California and beating the Rams.
That's definitely a long stretch to assume the Giants win. I think the odds are I think the spread on this game is 13 points, which is one of the biggest I've ever seen. So everyone seems to be convinced about the Rams winning. I'm not going to be the one to make the hero pick here. I'll say the Rams with two. Giants look terrible, like you mentioned. Though Nick Mullins is, of course, the best backup quarterback in the NFL, and quite frankly, would start on half the league's rosters at the moment. But, what?
Nick Foles, man.
Oh, is he a backup?
Not anymore. Obviously, he's the starter now. So
you see, Nick Mullins is he's a really good quarterback. We knew that, by the way, because he was the main orchestrator of when George Kittle had his single season receiving record. To keep that in mind too.
Yes.
That didn't win a lot that year. But he's a serviceable player. And, of course, the Giants should not get blown out by a bunch of backups like that, like you mentioned. 49ers are a very deep roster, but still, it shouldn't work that way. Especially, you have Saquon Barkley outside Devontae Freeman. They had no running game whatsoever. Daniel Jones was the only running threat for the Giants. Mm-hmm. That's not a good sign. And they're not going to beat the Rams like this either. So I will agree with you. Rams take it. Should be easy. Bills at Raiders.
Man, step 3 is complete, by the way. Still you know what? Actually, I don't think he's the passing leader at this moment. I think Dak Prescott surpassed him at some point.
In yards, maybe, yeah.
Yes, in yards, yes. But still, I mean, I think anyone can look at this situation, and as far as MVP right now, it's down to Josh Allen and Russell Wilson. And maybe you can throw Aaron Rodgers in.
Yeah, I was about to say. And there's also this guy, I don't know if you heard of him, who has number 15 in red. They ran the ball a little bit more at the beginning of the season, but he just torched the Ravens, who are arguably the best defense in the league. He's pretty good. I don't know if you heard of him. Won an MVP, won a Super Bowl. No big deal. Never count him out.
But, yeah, I mean, you can't count him out. But, I think even if he goes back to the Super Bowl this year, there's still a chance that someone else gets the MVP because they like to switch it up so much, I mean, technically, you could have given it to him last season after the Ravens lost in the playoffs, but, you want to keep new guys in there.
He was hurt he missed 3 games with injury. Otherwise, he should have gotten it.
Yeah, that's true. He was hurt for a few games. But anyway, Chiefs, man, this... no, we were on the Bills and Raiders. Sorry, lost track there for a second.
We'll get there.
The Bills should have no problems going out to Las Vegas and beating the frauds because they were exposed as frauds by those Patriots.
It's almost like someone had called that before, huh? Almost like someone already knew.
I heard it. I heard it somewhere.
Picked it up somewhere, peripherally too. I will agree with what you said 100%. I will give you one thing. We'll make a deal here. I will concede one thing to you, and you'll concede one thing to me. I will give you that Josh Allen is for real. I mean, I already kind of knew and kind of expected it, but you were the first one to go and say that is a legitimate MVP. And after 3 weeks now, I know that. That is a legitimate MVP candidate, and to me, he has to be in that top 3 with Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers at the moment, competing for that award. And Buffalo, by the way, is a for real team, and I can't wait to see them play New England. Buffalo is a playoff team. They are making waves. This team is going to be good and going to be good for a long time because Josh Allen is great. On the other hand, yes, the Raiders are frauds. I told you that Bill Belichick has made a career out of exposing frauds. He did it once again. Patriots are also for real. The Raiders are not. Bills win at Vegas. Raiders are 2-2 and right where they belong with all the other frauds at 8-8. So I'm going to take the Bills here, and everything's good in the NFL world. Speaking of the Patriots, this is the game of the week for sure. Patriots at Chiefs. What a clash.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to the Chiefs in a second, but again, I can't wait to see the Patriots and the Bills because these teams are so evenly matched right now. I totally expect after both of those games are done, they're going to be 1-1, to tell you the truth.
They might, because you have great defenses. You have Cam Newton and White Cam Newton. You have some great coaches.
Exactly.
It's gonna be.
That's what I was gonna call it, Cam Newton and the new Cam Newton. But yes, exactly.
Cam Newton.
And you could probably. Newer, ooh, that's good. And you could probably give one tick above, for the defense to the Patriots, and then one tick above for offense to the Bills there. But the Chiefs, man, talk about offense. Like they're about 10 ticks above the Patriots in offense. So it's gonna be tough for that defense to hold back. I mean, the Ravens couldn't do it, and we know how great the Ravens defense is. So I totally expect the Chiefs to come out and score on them at will, especially in the first half of this game. I do expect the Patriots to put up numbers also, because we know when you back the Patriots into a corner, they fight for their life, and they tend to put up points doing that. And Cam Newton didn't look as good last week, but he does have 2 weeks of looking phenomenal like old Cam Newton. Some would say almost like Josh Allen. But I'm going to go with the Chiefs at home here. I think the Patriots get their second loss out of this.
I love everything about this game. It's going to be phenomenal. I can't wait for this game. I want to watch it. It's going to be great. I have, at this point, no reason to not pick Kansas City because I said before the season this team might legitimately be a 16-0 team, especially whenever I saw how good Edwards-Helaire actually is as a running back and that extra dimension it adds to their offense. I said I don't know how to stop them. I'm hereby officially challenging Bill Belichick to prove me wrong in that, because if anyone can stop anything, it's Bill Belichick. But I'm curious to see what happens here. It's going to be a great game. High scoring, presumably. And a potential AFC Championship game preview. Again, New England is not going down as long as this man is coaching, whether you like it or not. I like Cam Newton. And I know you don't like the Patriots. I don't personally have anything against the Patriots, personally. But you got to respect that dynasty. You got to respect how they are this good every year. And it's going to be a good game. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were the ones to beat Kansas City. I don't think they will. I'll pick Kansas City until I'm getting a reason not to pick them. I will pick them. But it's going to be a good game. And the late game, Sunday night, prime time, Eagles at Niners.
Oh man, I feel so bad for the Eagles. Carson Wentz, like what has happened here? I mean, I get it. Their O-line is horrible. But Carson Wentz, like, I just feel bad for how bad he looks right now. And I guess it does all come back to the O-line. I guess Carson Wentz is going to have better seasons in the future, but this is obviously not one of them. Doug Peterson's going to have to work on getting him some kind of protection there, because he's not going to make it through a season like this. 49ers, like you said, good third-string team right here, man. And the Eagles, are really not much better than the Jets at this point. So I definitely see the Eagles going on the road out there and losing to the backups. I mean, I wish it was a different way. I mean, I know you don't wish it was a different way yourself, but I hate seeing Carson Wentz in this situation, dude, because he looks horrible right now. But
yeah, you made a good comparison. 49ers. You made a good comparison with the Jets there. It feels like Sam Darnold for him, man. He's like out there all alone. He can't, like, he has 2 seconds to throw the football. They can't block, they can't catch, they can't run the football. This offense is stagnant. The defense is okay, but nowhere near able to carry this team. And Carson Wentz, they know he's an injury-prone guy. I don't want to jinx it. I don't see how he's going through 16, 17 games this year without getting hurt as it's currently standing. And it is no surprise that he is not playing at his best. How could he whenever he's getting hit every single play? He can't play well under those circumstances. And I think they picked some pretty unfortunate games actually for the primetime spots this week, going into the next one too. But this should be an easy one. 49ers still injured. It's getting back to a bit more normalcy there with Kittle potentially being back, Deebo Samuel being activated off of IR. We've seen Brandon Ayuk now making his debut, and Jimmy Garoppolo might also be able to start. Though I'm going to say this again, like I did last week. If Garoppolo isn't 100% healthy, don't rush him out. There is no reason to. Nick Mullins can win this game. We know Nick Mullins can win this game. He'll win this game 9 times out of 10. So don't rush Garoppolo out at all. It's going to be very important to have him back for the second part of the season, the second half. They have the Eagles this week. They have Miami the week after. Those are wins, no matter who's starting at quarterback, at least between those two. So don't take those risks. Niners are going to win the game in a pretty easy fashion. I think it's going to be another rough day for Philadelphia, and we're going to be seeing some movement happening in Philly too, because you know that fan base is not exactly the most patient one out there or the most forgiving one out there. They have a certain reputation and they have a certain set of expectations for their team and their head coach. So expect a little bit of civil unrest happening in Philly soon. So it's going to be a tough season the way that it's looking at the moment. And then on Monday night, your Atlanta Falcons get to visit the Packers and Aaron Rodgers.
Well, before I get to that, you guys, you heard it here first. Doug Peterson is on the hot seat.
Ooh, he might.
Yeah. Well, I thought that's what you were alluding to there.
Oh yeah, I mean for sure, he might be.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. I wasn't thinking that because it hasn't really been long since they won a Super Bowl, but
yeah, they were really good.
That it's the Phillies the Philadelphia fan base. Yeah. It's the Phillies fan base also.
The same fan base. They're all great.
Exactly. Yes. But man, I was just thinking to myself that I'm so glad that the Bulldogs are playing now, so I can see a team win. Or anywhere in this vicinity of where I live right now, because God knows besides the Braves, I guess no other team is doing it. No other football team, at least. Man, you know what? That's what they should do. I watched the Bulldogs play, and they are the exact opposite of the Falcons. They have the nation's best defense, and they have a stagnant middle school offense that can't score in the first half. Their game plan is to pound the D-line over and over. Just hit them over and over. You get 1 yard. You get 2 yards. You do that all the way through the first half. Then the second half, when that D-line is wore out, you start gaining yards on them. And it's a really boring way to watch football, but it works, and we end up winning by 30, 40 points every time doing that somehow. They should hire Kirby Smart to come run this defense for the Falcons. And then they should hire, somebody like a Lincoln Riley to come run the offense. Because the offense is great. They can basically run themselves, but it wouldn't hurt to get a little bit of air raid in there, or a little bit of spread offense. Then they should hire Nick Saban to be the head coach, and we will dominate. Although, yeah, I say that, but then again, Nick Saban...
That could be a total circus too, though, you know that.
Yeah, exactly. They could all be fighting with each other. This is Aaron Rodgers, and you can't doubt Aaron Rodgers, even if he's playing your team. I think you learned that, didn't you? Yeah, I think you learned that.
I'm still gonna do it probably, but I'm the only one who can.
But yeah, I'm gonna pick the Packers. Definitely the Packers being at home. The Falcons might get up by 2 or 3 touchdowns at some point in this game, and then they'll definitely lose it in the fourth quarter.
We talked about this before the show. No AJ Terrell to match Devontae Adams, who might have himself a day. I said this. They chose some two unfortunate games because I think both those games are going to be very lopsided in primetime. We got a lot of bird slaughter going on. There was definitely better games that they could have flexed in there, like New England, Kansas City, but. Aaron Rodgers is still for real. Somehow he has the mental fortitude to just be above everything that this organization is presenting him with. Like all the turds that he's unpacking every time on draft day is getting slapped in the face, and somehow he just comes back and dominates the league. And an angry Aaron Rodgers is not an Aaron Rodgers that you want to cross paths with. And this Falcons team, unfortunately, is exactly the kind of team that's going to be an easy prey, I believe, and the Packers are going to win the game. Falcons are going to have to recoup. And you said this before, Dan Quinn equally on the hot seat, as are a couple other coaches actually at this point. And you actually want this to happen. You're ready for a change in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take the Packers. I'm going to take the Packers here, and Aaron Rodgers is going to make his case because he's still in that race for MVP. It's at this point looks like 3 front runners. You said it: Wilson, Allen, and Aaron Rodgers in no particular order, really. It's going to be a good one, but that's the full slate. So we disagreed on a couple this time, so at least it's going to be some interesting games there.
Yes, definitely.
Let me quickly just pull up my betting spread, and just if you wanted to know how to make a little bit of money on the side while watching football, I have 2 bets. Only 2 bets this week. We're not going crazy, but we're making 2 bets here. First one, I'm going to take the under in the Saints-Lions game. Currently, these stats, by the way, all from my bookie, and this is on Tuesday night, so I have the under for Detroit at the Saints at 54 right now. I think it's going to be a bit lower scoring game. I see the Lions defense do well. Saints are going to run the ball, and even though the Saints are going to win a close one, I'm giving the score on the under because this is a very high one. This is one of the highest over-unders of the entire week. As a matter of fact, I think a top 3 over-under for the entire week. So I'll take the under there. I think seems like a pretty safe bet. $5 on that. And I also have the Cardinals against the spread. And the spread is 3.5. I believe this could be a game that Arizona wins by 20 points at Carolina. If they play the way they did the first 2 weeks and the way they should be playing, given the talent that they have and the receiving core that they have, they can be explosive. I think these odds are tainted by the 2 games we saw. Carolina overperforming, beating the Chargers. Cardinals underperforming, losing to Detroit. 3.5 is not big enough of a spread, so we're going to exploit that. $5 on that too for the Cardinals to take this by more than a touchdown. Even I would bet on this if it was 6. If the spread was 6, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So that's my betting advice there. I'm assuming you're going to have a fantasy segment coming up over the next few days, Smokey, or anything already hinting there? Do you got anything specific you're going to be talking about?
Yeah. This week it's going to be all about time to assess the assets.
All right. I'm looking forward to that one. It's going to be interesting. That's the hurry-up offense we're talking about, of course, which is Smokey's 5-minute fantasy segment, which will be up hopefully tomorrow on this channel also, so you don't want to miss that at all if you're a fantasy football player. I highly suggest you subscribe to Beyond Football, and you'll get the scoreboard every week. You'll get the fantasy football hurry-up offense every week, and some additional videos here and there about player analysis, so a lot of content coming out. So if you don't want to miss that, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter. You can also follow Smokey on Twitter, linked in the description. I want to stay up to date on the latest ramblings that we have on the NFL. But do you have anything to add for this week?
I think that's it for this week.
All right, then I want to thank everybody for watching the show. Subscribe, and we're going to see you in the next one.
Deuces.